Hello everyone, it's Tanya with tonyamadelife here, and I wanted to my goal is to kind of really document my experience, my journey with combining the weight loss strategies that changing the diet, reducing the carbs and the sugars, becoming more active in conjunction with the GLP Zepbound. So I wanted to kind of it's been 1 week now, and I wanted to kind of talk about my experience because I know if you're like me and maybe you've seen other people who have had success with it, or your doctors, like in my case, my doctor was recommending it for me, but still, it's a whole lot of noise about it. And it just kind of helps to hear from people and to say what their experience is. And so that's what I want to do with this video. So took my first injection about a week ago. And let me start. So when I knew I was approved to get it, and I did, I knew of course, there are some doctors who are like, oh, you're going to have to take it forever. The minute you stop taking it, you gain weight. That may be true, but my strategy is GLP, the Zepbound was kind of going to be the stick out there to help me focus and really get hyper focused on making those lifestyle changes that I need to make anyway, that I make and then I kind of slack off and then I get back on. I just haven't had consistency with it. But, with a lot of the side effects, the nausea, the diarrhea, all of those types of things, I was like, you know what? You're going to have to eat different while taking this medication to reduce the likelihood that you'll have the constipation and all of those things. So about 2 weeks before I actually picked up the medication, I kind of put together a plan. And I will say I'm going through a program through my healthcare company, through my job. And it's to me a good way of doing it. It's not just give you the prescription and run. It's a whole program with, talk to a counselor like every 2 weeks. There's a medical team, all of that. So they run the complete metabolic panel and looked at all the numbers. It's a pretty comprehensive program. And so their emphasis is on the medication is not okay, you're going to take this medication and keep eating the way you've been eating and keep doing what you've been doing. You can lose some weight like that. But the minute you stop taking it, if you haven't changed your behavior, or in my case, the lifestyle factors, because a lot of my stuff is lifestyle stuff. And by lifestyle, I mean, I just had too many projects going on that are so fun and exciting that I like to work on them and not do other stuff like go to the grocery store, like cook, and go exercise. I'd rather be sitting in my computer designing something, drawing something at Home Depot. I mean, that stuff is fun to me. So my life is definitely out of balance. And I know that is probably the number one contributing factor to my weight gain over the last 20 years. It's just that, so 2 weeks before I got the medication, I was like, okay, let me figure out. And most of this, we already know what we need to do, but that willpower to focus on it for long periods of time has not been there. And so I have heard different reports of people saying something they call food noise, that the drug kind of helps with that. And when I first heard the term food noise, I'm like, I don't know if I have that. I really can't say I have that where I just kind of think about food all the time. I don't, because I'm thinking about graphic design. I'm thinking about Canva templates. I'm thinking about, all these different business, other things. So, but I can say, and everybody in my family is like this. My mom, my grandma was like this. We have sweet tooths in our family. And when we want something sweet, like a peach cobbler, or my mom's case, ice cream. Yes, not always easy to say, well, I just eat an apple. So there's that angle. So my starting weight was 341 point something. And so by the time I actually took my first shot, I think I was down to like 338 or so. And I'm 5'8", so I'm kind of tall. So praise the Lord, saints. But so I'd already kind of, and just through trying to walk more, just being more mindful, trying to cut back, not eating the fast food, which typically comes when I haven't done all these perfect things. I don't have a plan for what I'm gonna eat, so I don't go to the grocery store. I don't cook, and then it's like, oh, I'm hungry. What I'm gonna eat? And where I live in Memphis, we just don't have those healthy, fast options like that. One of the reasons where Southern California is like my favorite place to go in America, because they have so many places where you can go in and get, seafood, fish, salads, lean proteins and vegetables like lemonade, California fish grill. We don't have those out here. If you getting fish, it's catfish, it's fried. If it's chicken, it's fried. Everything. It's just, which to me, I think my area is ripe for change, but, So I was seeing success from that. Took the first injection, and I think I shot it kind of in my my muffin top area, not the lower abdomen. So, and that was on a Sunday morning on my way to church, and I didn't really feel anything. Although that was probably about that's probably about 9 o'clock. So I did notice I didn't eat, which that's another thing about me, because I'm always typically running late all the time because I'm time challenged. So I didn't eat any breakfast. And when I got out, I think I went because I had to pick up something from my mom. And I think I got me a chicken marsala from Carrabba's with the salad and the bread, which, I was like, I'm not going to eat the bread. Child ate all that bread. But that's all I had all day. And I noticed, I remember I took a nap, and when I woke up, I just, that's all I had all day, and I was completely fine with that. So, but that is not unusual for me. It's like one day I have 3,000 calories, and the next day I have 1,000. It's just up and down, just all over the place. So I'm trying to balance that out. I did notice on day 2, I had some belching. I did have a little bit of belching going on. It wasn't bad. I mean, like in a day, I may have belched like 3 or 4 times. So I did notice that though. That was day 1. Day 2 was a fast day for our church. So I didn't eat anything all day, I think. And I did notice on day 2, in the normal course of getting ready and doing your hair. And I remember raising my arms up, and I had like a little burning feeling, like I was super tired. And I did notice that the only thing, I've been staying up really, really late working on projects. And so I know sometimes I have that feeling when I stayed up too late. So I can't 100%, I'm not sure if it was staying up late or it was the medicine. So I did notice that. I'll watch that next week and see if it happens. The biggest things I was concerned about feeling nauseous. I was concerned about being constipated, which I don't really have a problem with that now, but I'm like, I don't want to even start that. So, I started eating lots of fruits and berries, and eating protein. So last year I had a weight loss coach, and one of the struggles, it was really hard for me to eat all the protein that I'm supposed to be eating. It just was a struggle. So, I kind of re-upped with some protein powder, Greek yogurt, which I love for a lot of different things, to try to get that there. Bought some walnuts. And so I was, just eating more whole foods, definitely less processed. And so I did notice probably from days 1 through about day 3 that I wasn't eating as much. But by day 4, I'm like, I don't know if it's really doing too much. I felt like I think my sweet tooth kicked up. And so that was Wednesday, the day before Valentine's Day. And um, yeah, and I was like, I think, yes, Wednesday. I think I actually had my first fast food on this because it's like I'd had salad, eating light all day. But after I remember leaving work, and I was like, I want something heavy, and I wanted some meat, and so I actually had a hamburger and fries and sweet tea. So, yeah, that was one meal a day. But like I said, this is not a cold turkey. It's kind of a taking it day, one day at a time. So the next day was Valentine's Day. So walked in the office, and on my desk was somebody was just so kind and so sweet. Some of my coworkers had cute little Valentine's Day cards and Valentine's Day candy. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to eat that. I don't even like candy like that. So that lasted until we got some craziness kind of happening at work. And I got kind of, and I think I didn't have any food. That was the other thing. I hadn't brought any food. And so by the time I got hungry, I'm like, I had a lollipop, I had a ring pop, and I had two little Hershey's Kisses. And I'm like, okay, worst, if you go eat sweets, don't just eat it on an empty stomach. They tell you that you're asking for a blood sugar spike. So I had that, and then I know later on that day, I had to pick up something from my mom, and the place where she got her catfish from, they have great desserts, great desserts. And I'm not a chocolate person, but they have a chocolate cake that it's the milk chocolate kind, so it's not bitter and all that, and it was so good. And so I had that, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we're gonna watch this weight go back up, and it did, so. Because like I said, I went from 341, and when I started, I was probably like about 338. And so I kind of would go down 338.5, 338.1, 337, 336. And then I was like, I know it's going to go back up. And it went from like, maybe it would go up, tenths of a pound. And so over the weekend, it's like the further I get from the shots, I notice I kind of want to eat more and more of the old greasy stuff that I kind of eat sometimes. I never ate it all the time, but I had some buffalo tenders. Yeah, because I think that was, buffalo tenders. I had fries. I had, that chocolate cake. So probably 3 days, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do real good, but later in the evening, I kind of, eat a little stuff that really I probably should not be eating. So my expectation was, okay, this will probably cause your weight to go all the way back up to 341 because it's a lot of grease, a lot of fat in it and some sugar, high carbs. So when I got on the scale, remember, like I said, when I got back on that scale, I was expecting to be back up there. It did not move. Out of all that stuff I ate, because it did not, I was still at, I think by this time, I was probably at 335 point something. All that, the chocolate cake, the Valentine's candy, the buffalo tenders and fries and sweet tea, I did not gain any weight off of that. I'm like, wow. Other than like tenths of a pound. And I was like, okay, maybe this Zepbound is doing some things. So I noticed that. Let me see. Haven't had any nausea. Haven't had any diarrhea. Haven't had any bloated feelings. But I will say, I left this out. I prayed and prayed really hard from when my doctor recommended that she wanted me to try it I was taking my mom, we have the same doctor, and I took her for her physical. And my doctor, she's been my doctor over 20 years, and she's like, you know what, you might want to try those. I'm like, Like she tried to give me, she suggested I may look into the surgery. And I was like, no, I thought about it and I prayed about it. I was like, no, I just don't want to get surgery just because I can't have better control about what I put in my mouth, one, and kind of, doing these little seemingly small changes like walking and all of that. And so I was like, no, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. So when I took my mom in September, and I kind of was, because this has been 20 years of dealing with, up and down. The most I probably ever lost was 25 pounds, but I always kind of creep back up. So I told her, I said, I have my physical in September. I said, if I haven't lost significant weight by then, I'm going to consider it. And so by the time I went for my physical, and I was like, I weigh more than ever. It's not my highest, because my highest weight ever, I think, right before the pandemic Earth Star was probably a 351. So my normal has been around 330 for the last probably 8-9 years. That's kind of, maybe 10 years. That's been kind of my norm, about 330 something. So I was like, I prayed about it, and I said, Lord, I'm gonna give it a try. I prayed about it. I have a few church members who are also taking it, and one of them is lost. One of them's on Ozempic. I don't know if she's diabetic or pre-diabetic. I'm not sure, but I just happened to see her at church and said, you've lost a lot of weight. And then she told me, she said, I'm on Ozempic and I've lost 60 pounds. I'm like, wow. She said, I haven't had any side effects. And then I just happened to mention to her, kind of what my doctor was, wanted me to consider. And she was like, I'm going to pray for you. And I was like, I appreciate it. I'm going to be praying about it, because I'm not really a medicine taker like that. So, but my doctor did say one thing. She did say, and she's an older doctor, so it's not like she's, a newbie. She has a lot of patients and cases under her belt. And she said, usually when you get to this weight and you need to lose like 100 pounds, you don't do it without some kind of help. Although there are people doing it all day long on the internet, and I'm so proud of them. But I'm like, you know what? If this GLP-1 can kind of give me kind of the Kickstarter, because I'm like, okay, if I get down under 300 pounds, I feel like I can probably take it from there, because honestly, my mother weighs like 235 and she wears like a size 16. I don't want to be any smaller than that. I'm 5'8". When I graduated from high school, I think I was a 14. So I'm not trying to be an 8. That just wouldn't even look right on me, so, and some people say I don't even look like what I weigh, which, let me see. Yeah, some people say I don't even look like what I weigh. Anyway, then this is a big wool dress, but yeah, so this is kind of what I'm looking like. But yeah, so this is 5'8". But I prayed about it, and it's like, kind of, I thought about it. You take Advil, you take Aleve, you take vitamin D, you take all of these other things. And when you take them, you just pray and that there be no side effects, And I was like, how is this any different? I was like, that is a whole point. So, I prayed about it, and I didn't feel a check in my spirit from the Lord. Don't do this, So I said, okay. From that point, it was probably about a month before you had to go through do all the blood work. And I just had my physical, so I had some of it. And I thought that would be enough. And they came back and said, no, we need a complete metabolic panel, So I had to go back and get more blood drawn to test all of that stuff. So from the time I got approved, it was probably a month before I actually picked up the medicine. So like I said, it was kind of beginning to get in the mindset of what are the habits. And I pretty much go to the grocery store every week, sometimes different ones. Like I think I've been to Costco and Trader Joe's, where I had Costco stuff delivered through Uber. They were running a promotion, and they do that now. And then I went to Trader Joe's. So I'm keeping food at home, keeping berries, fruits, keeping those things, got protein. So all of that's something that's helped. Even with that, there are some times it was like, I don't want that though. Like today, I'm not hungry right now. I made a mushroom soup with mostly mushrooms, a little chicken thighs that I cooked in the air fryer, which is something new that I have had. This air fryer, have never used it. And I started using it last week because I'm good at cooking vegetables. I'm not that good at cooking meat, because it's just not. The other curious thing about me is that they don't want me having any red meat. And red meat is probably because my cholesterol is kind of elevated. But red meat is everything that's not chicken or fish. It's lamb, it's beef, it's pork, which I don't eat. The only pork, like I said, I don't even eat pork. I just eat bacon and honey baked ham at Christmas. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. But anyway, I was like, okay, so that leaves chicken and fish. Like I said, they're not, we're not on a coastal area, so we don't have fishmongers out by where I stay, where I can just go and get a variety of fish. We just got what they have at the grocery stores, and things like, and frozen, of course. And so it's I was like, man, that's very limiting, but like I said, I'm not a big meat eater anyway, which is part of that protein issue, So, and I don't like beans. I like black beans, but that's it. I don't like red beans, pinto beans. No, don't like none of that. So, but I like just about every other vegetable except for beets and okra. So yeah. So it kind of, it helps me to kind of the air fryers kind of help me kind of get creative, and it's quick and it's fast. And so, yeah, and I'm completely full now. I had basically a cup of mushroom wild rice chicken soup that I made with, pretty much, I put a little cream at the end, but I didn't even have to, because it didn't thicken the soup at all, So I had that, and then I had a huge bowl of Greek yogurt with a little cinnamon, walnuts, a little monk fruit, and then I put in a lot of berries, blackberries, strawberries, and blueberries. So I'm completely full now. And it's just a different feeling of being full, but it doesn't, without grease, basically, without anything fried, without any heavy meats. It's just a kind of different feeling of full. So yeah, so that's helped. I'm trying to think, what else did I want to say? What else happened last week? Yeah, I had bowel movements. I struggle with drinking. I think I'm supposed to drink 100 ounces of water. And on a good day for me, it's 40. And I'm full. See, that's the thing. I'm full. And so trying to, I can't eat as much food as even when I remember years ago when we would do Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers. When you're eating healthy, it's really hard to eat 2,000 calories. I just don't be hungry enough to eat that much. And so water just makes you even fuller. So I'm still working on that. But other than that, I thank God I haven't had any side effects so far. So I'm grateful for that. I'll be coming back next week with, week 2 to see, shot 2 to see it. And I'm on the start. I guess I'm hearing them say it's the starter dose of 2.5 milligrams. And so that is what I'm on, of Zepbound, the brand name Zepbound. So yeah. So if any of you are interested in the GLP-1, Zepbound specifically, and have any questions, I don't know too much at this point, but I can tell you what I have learned, or point you in the direction of some of the YouTubers who really have kind of shared valuable information, or Instagrammers about it. There are a couple of doctors. There's one out of, I think, California. Can't remember his name now, but they've been very helpful, in talking about some of the things you need to know. Because it's like, okay, how do you eat? What do you not eat? All of that. And that may be different for everybody, depending about what your metabolic panel is. Oh yeah. So the other thing I did want to talk about is, so if you've been on a weight loss journey for a while, you probably know about, how Weight Watchers and the points and the fat and carbs and all that. So for this, we're counting them. All of that stuff is still relevant, but their way of classifying foods is a bit different, because they're classifying them solely based on, well, one is hormonal impact, or 2 is hormonal impact, but number 1 is impact to metabolic panel. So, how much does it cause a blood sugar spike? So some of the things that are, quote, healthy, like oatmeal, those other things, nothing is out, but it kind of gives a red food, yellow food, green food type of model, where like red meat is a red food. The other way If it's something, you take the total number of carbs divided by the fiber, and if that number is more than 10, that's automatically red food. Red food doesn't mean you can't have it at all. It just means you want to limit those, and you want to focus on, of course, the green foods. So it is slightly different way of kind of tracking what you're eating. So that's the other thing I wanted to say. So that's all for this video. I'm getting sleepy. It's getting, which I shouldn't be, but I am. So, but I stayed up late again. But thank you very much for tuning in. And if there's something else you'd like me to share, as part of these update on my GLP journey series, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to add it in next time. Bye-bye, y'all.